Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to see if cannabis can ease coronavirus symptoms. There's a Toronto firm that is applying for a clinical trial. You may have heard some folks that are making some claims that the FDA has responded to. Claims made by Kyle Turley, ex-NFL player, with a couple of tweets that says he can crush corona and boost their immune systems. After the FDA said that he had to get rid of that, he basically said, okay, I'll admit it, cheap CBD brand products will not prevent or cure COVID-19. So obviously the FDA didn't appreciate that. So Kyle's response is that the US FDA will one day acknowledge the power of cannabis and its ability to prevent and cure COVID-19 and every other disease, ECS hashtag for the endocannabinoid system. So there's medical cannabis company Canalog. They decided to step up a fight against the coronavirus pandemic by researching the effects of the medicinal cannabis on the virus. So this Canadian online medical cannabis marketplace applied to the Health Canada for approval to organize a clinical trial for COVID-19. So the Toronto-based company said that the medicinal ingredients found in cannabis have the potential of enhancing the immune system to minimize symptoms of COVID-19, saying, quote, cannabinoid receptors are naturally found on immune cells in the body. It's simulated prior to an infection and may dampen the inflammatory responses that follow, which is a key factor in the severity of symptoms observed in patients. So if we can flatten the curve, then we need to focus on reducing the number of deaths. So I think Kyle Turley was just trying to make a point that CBD can enhance your endocannabinoid system, can improve your immune system, but it's not necessarily a cure. I think that he was trying to make a point. It definitely got the attention of the FDA, which is probably not really where he wanted to go, but maybe just kind of getting out there and becoming a household name was the point. Maybe on the flip side, what we need to look at is smoking marijuana dangerous? So I think the big fear factor is that with tobacco smokers, maybe there's a higher chance of them catching coronavirus. So we've seen some of the numbers actually show that people are hoarding flower, not necessarily buying pre-rolls or concentrate, but edibles, food and beverage are increasing. So maybe there is something to not smoking. So let's also take a look at whether smoking cannabis is dangerous. So we know that tobacco smoking can cause cancer, but what about cannabis smoking? Inhalation of cannabis smoke has naturally been a point of contention in the medical community, and the risks are often compared with tobacco. But what does the actual science and epidemiology data tell us? Is smoking cannabis really dangerous for you? How does it compare to smoking? So the article that we're going to dive into is going to talk about the most current research into the health implications of smoking cannabis. One thing that we know is that smoking tobacco can kill you. Smoking cannabis does not. So without a doubt, smoking tobacco is deadly. In fact, according to the CDC, tobacco kills more people worldwide than HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria combined. But according to this Benzinga article, cannabis smoke still can contain harmful chemicals. It's critical to note that while no firm link has been established between cannabis smoking and lung disease, that doesn't mean that there indefinitely isn't one. There can still be harmful chemicals such as ammonia or hydrogen, cyanide, nitrous oxide. Chronic exposure to these compounds in smoke is known to cause bronchitis. And even with the presence of these chemicals, it doesn't result in epidemiological translation for lung disease in the population of folks constantly smoking cannabis, which is still a mystery. Some have theorized that the potential anti-tumorigenic, anti-inflammatory, or anti-bronchital properties in cannabis plant may contribute to the prevention of lung disease development. What about edibles, oils, concentrates? Why smoke any medicine at all? Repeatedly inhaling smoke of any kind certainly isn't good for you in and of itself. However, the composition of that smoke really matters when discussing potential risk and development for respiratory pathologies as a result. One thing is for sure, smoking tobacco is much more dangerous compared to smoking cannabis alone. While it doesn't mean that smoking cannabis essentially is safe, it does mean that they should not be compared to or thought of as equal or even similar to that of tobacco smoking. All right, so back to our original point. Can weed kill the coronavirus? Probably not. Same goes with CBD. So no substantial scientific evidence currently exists that proves that cannabis can reverse the effects of the coronavirus. As you see, is a lot of scammers and hoaxers. They're thriving right now talking about how Americans can benefit from CBD and help with corona. The executive director of Normal said, if something sounds too good to be true, it likely is. The FDA wrote a letter this month warning several companies to stop selling fraudulent coronavirus products or else they'd be held accountable. According to Forbes, one company is sending out text messages and numerous phone numbers that promises that CBD oil will reverse the coronavirus's ill effects. And then the DEA chimed in and said that you shouldn't be sharing joints, bongs, pipes. It's not smart right now. Even Fox News chimed in and said that they're not encouraging any drug use at all, but you really need to be thinking about this because it's a secondary effect. Like we mentioned before, according to the cannabis intelligence firm Headset, they're mentioning that consumers are responding to the crisis by purchasing more edibles and tinctures than ever before. And this is the root cause that corona causes adverse respiratory illness for those with symptoms like shortness of breath, dry coughing. So people are shifting away from smoking. It's definitely impacting consumer behavior, the way that they're buying, what they're buying, when and how, from hoarding to shifting their preferences from flower to edibles, mergers and acquisitions, the investment industry, the psyche in Main Street, Wall Street, and everywhere in between is shifting dramatically as people are starting to look at more distressed assets. It'll probably shift people's mentality from going to emerging markets back to existing ones to be able to buy those at a discount. For example, maybe not going into Massachusetts or New York or New Jersey and looking at buying existing firms with their property, plant, and equipment at 20 or 30 cents on the dollar in places like Nevada, Colorado, Oregon, Washington. So it's definitely going to impact the industry, how it impacts the consumers. I'm sure there's are people that are going to look at CBD as a potential cure. Maybe that's going to be a placebo. Maybe that's not going to work. Maybe it does. I mean, all in all, I think we're going to have to just wait and find out. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.